Welcome back to Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the Pro Championships from Boulder, Colorado. Arizona Lawless taking on Shame. Two teams matched up in a mixed semifinal. Two teams we're excited to call. We got a Lawless game earlier this weekend, and Shame's a team you say you know a lot about. You know a number of the players. Lucas Serio alongside Kelsey Percy. Excited to have you through it. Excited to have you with us.
Yeah, very much so. No, a game we were very excited to see fell into our slate. Lawless, again, less established, a lot of talent. Just starting to get a feel for their threshold, their ceiling, how well they can perform. A team that really had some flashes of brilliance against Mixtape earlier. And Shame, I think, really a unique team personality-wise. So a team that kind of leans into sometimes not taking themselves less serious. I say sometimes, always taking themselves less seriously. Yeah. Always kind of going against the grain, and something that has worked very well for them, but not lacking athletes.
And Shame as well, asking us on the broadcast to just a moment of recognition for one of their former teammates, Kevin Coulter. Of course, Kevin lost his life in a drunk driving accident in Michigan, along with 3 other members of the Detroit Mechanics, and someone that really meant a lot to this team. So we ask you with us, just take a moment of silence for him and think about what he meant for this Shame roster and for the Ultimate community as a whole. Obviously, something like that, no one ever intends to have that happen, and for that, we'll give you a moment. So, Shame set to start this game on offense. Like we said, Lawless is a game we've seen before this tournament. They're really fun to watch, and I think that what I understand is these two teams played each other in the last round of mixed pool play right before this game. So sort of a back-to-back for both of them, which can be difficult to get yourself psyched up for, especially if you know coming into that game that you might end up facing this team again. So interested to see how it all shakes out. Number of players out there you might recognize for Shame, a team we've had on the stream before. Someone that's missing this weekend, and Nick Lance hurt himself playing softball earlier this week, so he won't be present for this game.
Yeah, it looks like Lawless will be starting off with the pull, so Shame set to receive. And again, Shame, very athletic team, a lot of capacity to score. Really like their women as well, and love throwing to them, giving them an opportunity to shine.
Hearing as well, sorry.
Yeah.
From our Ultiworld sideline reporter, Isabel Cruz, she's telling us that this game was pretty contested when they played in the last round. Definitely a level of intensity between both of these teams, and apparently some other teams in the tournament complaining about the calls that Lawless are making at some level. Obviously, Ultimate players love to gripe, but hopefully we got some observer mics on this game. Well, not hopefully, we do have observer mics on this game, but hopefully we'll give you a chance to tap into some of those conversations and get a sense of what this is like.
Yeah, and so there was some questions, some discussion. Is that based off of maybe some of the youth on the Lawless team, or is that a leadership and coaching style of wanting them to push the boundaries a little bit?
Owen Westbrook back to receive. He'll send up to Bart Watson, and then Westbrook again on the far side, getting marked by Sigrud.
Who is one of our favorite athletes to watch. Up early.
Early shot from Snuska. This one testing Erickson, and Erickson back there to make sure. So
tall.
Early turnover forced by Jamie Erickson. And now first break chance of the game coming way of Arizona Lawless.
So kind of testing the boundaries and athleticism, and a very quick response from the Lawless crew.
Erickson will get the first cutter activation touch as well. In space, around back and a long gainer. That one finding Cody Lipnot. Now in the middle of the field is Ryan Irvin. Bridges circling. And again, second touch for Erickson, but seems like a travel called on Bridges, so this throw will come back.
So didn't get the audio on that, but it sounded like travel called, contested by the observer, and the disc will stay.
Erickson resetting for Bridges with the plate catch. She'll move flat across in a power cut. Seems like all hand on the movement as Bridges fighting for upline space. Bidding and ruled not in the end zone. Wally Kwong on the far side saying he didn't make it in, but he'll dish for Erickson, no matter. So bookends for number 18, and Lawless starts this game with the break.
Yeah, first time we've seen that yet this weekend.
First point bookends?
break to open?
Yeah, actually might be. Yeah, it shows the level of intensity that AZ is bringing to this game. I mean, I don't think Lawless is a team that many people had circled to make the final, but to keep playing like this, no question, they might find themselves on ESPN tomorrow. Pretty exciting in their first year to have this much success. And I think at the final at the Pro Championships, a lot of teams are going to have you circled in their pools in San Diego. No matter, Lawless is still really figuring out what this team is, who they are.
Yeah, so again, that break to open, bit of a morale crusher, but for an experienced team like Shame, I think something they can pretty easily shake off. They're going to put a new line out there and continue. We
talked to Shame before the game. We asked, what are your goals? And they told us, we don't really have any. I mean, this is a team that they love to play loose, and they don't put a lot of pressure on themselves. And you were telling me there's a chance they might even play worse on stream. I mean, like, to them, this is just a chance for them to hang out and be friends together, but also
play the sport they love.
Yeah, really, really good at Ultimate. So I don't think they're too terribly concerned about any of the implications for this game to Nationals. Or I think them and Lawless are just at different places in terms of Lawless, a team that wants that recognition.
Yeah, very much Lawless in the hunt. Versus Shame, again, not that they are lacking in IQ or finesse. They definitely have, players capable of making and executing very challenging shots and the athletes to shoot too. Again, just not worried as much about the process, not looking to micro-analyze themselves.
That pull from Chris Bernard drifting out the back line. Things getting started with Bart Watson. He'll throw the near side.
Yeah, Shame, quite honestly, probably a team that is not going to sit down and watch their film to say, how can we get better, but maybe just like, how can we make a drinking game out of this?
And you said there was a number of people on Shame that recruited you to play on a beach team, is what you telling me?
Man Beer Pig. One of the best experiences I've ever had. That was Kevin KT Herrera. And another player that I think we'll see a lot of, Nick Schnuska. Just phenomenal athlete.
There's Captain Ryan Morgan right in front of us. Upfield, there's John Snyder. And all the way into the end zone is Shame, so they managed to figure out Abby Dietrich in the end zone.
Smooth look, yep. And again, Shame, when they are firing on offense, just look like they're not even trying.
Right. Yeah, a lot of success there, really getting what they want.
Yeah, they love those inside angles. They're going to attack those all day. Love to get creative with throws and just really feel that that's one of their strengths.
Number 97 there, Sarah Pesh.
Yeah, Pesh also someone who was supposed to be on that team, and I didn't get a chance to play with or watch, and someone that I'm very happy to see on the field now.
Where are Colorado players going to a beach tournament? Is that in California?
Yeah, that was Layout.
Oh,
and I think actually Layout versus what's the other one?
Wildwood?
No, that there are now 2 California beach tournaments.
2 California beach tournaments.
That one. From our producer. Let's give it to us one more time.
LA Throwback.
Throwback, yeah. So I think in response to, I believe there was some controversy about that. I don't know. I've played Wildwood, I've played Layout, I've played Chicago Sandblast, which is maybe my favorite of those. Honestly, actually for the smaller size, I get a chance to see everyone I want to see. Versus the really, really big beach tournaments, you can walk for an hour and still only see half the field. But back into this game.
Sean Hamm on the far side. Marked by Casey Anderson. They're going to take an early shot looking for Sean Hamm. That one drifting always out of bounds. So forced to back to the drawing board. Mark Mendelovitz there on the far side with that shot.
Yeah, and Shame with the chance to break back here. Let's see how their defense looks. Getting their first look at their defensive offense.
Pretty good field position too to start off. Ryan Pesh there on the far side. Joe Smash Anderson, his first touch. If you didn't get a chance to listen to it, you should go check it out. Joe Anderson kind of doing one of those tape delay commentaries from a game from Masters Nationals. Sounded like a lot of fun. Speaking of fun, Shame pumped up. They get their break back. in the end zone, the team from Colorado.
And really like what I saw from Shame there. A lot of very calm possessions, throwing fakes, communicating with those fakes, also pulling most of their men out of the end zone, removing the chance or diminishing the chance of a poach D for Lawless and letting their ladies work.
Here's that turnover from Mendelovitz. This one just never had a shot. Win pushing that out the whole time. We've reversed field, so if you're watching this and you watched the last game, the Win now moving from your screen towards the other side. So a little bit of a crosswind as that goal from Liz Murphy getting Shame on the board defensively early. Another look at this Arizona Lawless offensive line.
Yeah, and Shame just looking unfazed. And you've mentioned a couple times playing loose. That can be one of the advantages of you don't get in your head, you don't beat yourself up. If you go down that first break, it's just, oh, we're still playing. We're still playing our game. We're still playing everything we ever do.
Right, you just roll at that point. And you never get too worried. I mean, it's easy to let, if you're really nervous, right, it's easy to let an early break get in your head. But Shane has just done this so many times and played so much Ultimate together. I don't really think that a lot would put them off. And like we said, it's not like they have tremendous goals for themselves for this tournament. So I don't think there's a lot of room for them to disappoint themselves. And sometimes that lends itself to put a little less pressure.
Yeah, something that will be interesting though.
Mendelovitz taking a shot, looking for Erickson. This one a touch too far, but really 2 shots from Mendelovitz. Both have missed, but that's the first time we've called that name this weekend. We didn't see him at all in their pool play matchup against Mixtape yesterday, so maybe a second-day addition to this roster.
And if you're looking for a target, I like Erickson and her picking up Schnuska on the under. Not a good shot of that on the camera, but very heads-up defense from her.
Anderson had a chance to go deep, but it'll come under instead.
KT with the disc.
Yeah, Herrera wanting it all. He's
Shot.
got 2 targets back there. Who will it be? It's none of them. Wow.
And the
Megan
female,
Maxfield blowing this up.
the athleticism of the females from Lawless really shining.
Yeah, someone else that they got today, a member of the Utah Wild, if I'm not mistaken, the WUL. This is insane. Wow.
Huge play.
So clean. It might be one of the best blocks we've seen on stream all weekend. Instant impact. Zach Petty the other way. He wants Maxfield. That one's going to hang. And into the end zone.
Bookends.
Full field bookends for Megan Maxfield. Lawless get there. I guess it was a hold back, but still unbelievable. Arizona pumped up.
Whew, lungs and legs for days. She chased at least 40, if not 50 yards across the field, laid out to get that D, laid out and not low, laid out high to get that D, and then turned around and ran the whole other way.
This is rowdy. So you get a chance to look at the whole sequence. Here's a huck from Herrera. 2 targets. You think one of them's going to get this, but Maxfield, not even sure if it was her assignment initially. Doesn't matter. Just goes up. You just got to think it's yours.
Yeah, had steps. Shame player, I'm sure thought she had it.
Yeah,
you know, again,
Abby Dietrich had a beat on that, and then the other way. Zach Petty just rewarding Maxfield a chance to catch the goal, and she obliges.
And a beautiful throw. Let's give credit there.
That was a bomb.
Out in front, but hung just in the right space for her to run onto it. Oh, this is a fun game.
Yeah, hopefully.
A lot of what we were excited to see. Teams, again, willing to take shots, athleticism, to close on those, and also to put pressure on D.
Hopefully more of that to come. I'll give you a look. So, after all that, well, it's on D. After all, it was a hold. And Nathan Bridges, a long outside-in pull, and Owen Westbrook will, again, set it up to Bart Watson. Just moving on low stalls for Shame. Now on the far side, Pesh. One more, we'll move even closer. It's a high shot to the end zone. A few back there, went over everyone and caught. John Snyder in the end zone. Here's someone who will take it from the sideline. Maybe not what they intended, but it worked out no matter, and a hold is a hold.
Yeah, and I think the Shames player is doing a really good job when the disc is hanging up a little bit like that, just flooding the area and making sure they had someone attacking the disc and then someone cleaning up afterwards.
Yeah, Captain Marilyn Wright telling us that, you know what, a goal's a goal, they all count for one, and it's just kind of the way Shane plays.
So this game so far definitely meeting my expectations. Expected to see shots, expected to see athletic plays. How are you enjoying it?
The mixed division has produced a lot of highlights, at least from the few games we've watched so far. Obviously, Lawless, the other mixed game that we've called, but I don't know, really no disappointments from either of the semis. Still got one more coming up later today too. But so far, this has been a blast.
Yeah, I believe we will get a women's semi. I haven't seen the names yet. I know they were working on those brackets. After that single large pool.
Yeah, of course, ESPN getting their choice, so we'll give you whatever matchup we have when the time comes. No matter what, I'm sure it'll be exciting.
So fun note, member of the Shame team commented to me that they were really wanting the 1 o'clock game. They were hoping they would get the early semi for childcare reasons. Being a local team, needing to get home, wanting to wrap this tournament up quickly.
Fort Collins.
Mm-hmm.
Home of Colorado State University.
That's a very human reason. Logistics.
Yeah, makes total sense to me. I'll say that I'm not in a position in my life where I have to factor for, and for that I am thankful.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting. Big shot.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Going back to Maxfield in the end zone, and that one works. Oh, wow.
Shame is going to need to look for a response to her. What a force.
Petty and the Megan Maxfield connection has been fireworks so far throughout this semifinal on offense. Just dialing up an absolute nuke.
2 consecutive points, yes?
Yeah, same connection. Gonna look at it, stepping into this. And 3 Shame players in tow. Maxfield, no issues with the back line.
And Shame had changed up her matchup. So again, trying out different personnel, but just blazingly fast.
Again, pretty sure that's a new addition for today from Lawless. One of a number of them. She coming from the Utah scene and only making it up for today. So obviously they've been able to use her. And hey, they win this game, they're going to need her tomorrow too.
Yeah, very welcome addition. I do believe you are correct. Someone that we would have remembered from yesterday. But yeah, we'll be interested to see how personal plays into factor. Most teams managing to bring some pretty deep rosters for this 3-day tournament, but maybe not seeing as many games as they have in the past, just from the fewer overall numbers of teams here. Good looking pull. Big IO backhand. Giving the defense plenty of time to get down the field.
Westbrook, a few handlers to look at, but he'll find Sarah Pesh. Her throw will find Nick Snuska. And blown up by Chris Bernard. That throw a little behind John Snyder. And they're going to take a blade earlier. This one wobbling, it came out wrong and off the hands of Sigerud. So back to the turf it goes.
Just
back to the drawing board is Arizona Lawless, and now Shame a chance to attack the other way. Snuska right in front of us. He wants to shoot. He'll look for Westbrook. Westbrook, the veteran, versus the 21-year-old, and caught. Owen Westbrook in the far end zone.
Found the edge, brought it down. Risky shot. Interesting that he chose to go high, putting his player, but again, maybe knowing his player better in that space. But against arguably one of the most athletic, capable, if young, players for Lawless. So yeah, no lack of response here from both teams. Both teams just coming out hot, coming out looking to shoot. And it'll be really interesting to see which team can maintain this level of energy.
It's almost like they want that game to end early. I mean, these two teams are, after this, regardless of who wins, both of them, one will have a game tomorrow and the other one, I think, gets a chance to go home or hang out and enjoy the festivities of Labor Day Monday.
Maybe they heard us say how few games had gotten to 15. They're like, well, we can break that.
These teams, USAU actually changing the rules. The teams will play to 17 we wish this game's going to be like that. We're probably hopeful it would be that way, but honestly, this weekend there's been a lot of short rounds. Feels like a lot of games have felt rushed, especially with the 5-minute half times. Obviously 10 now in the semifinals. Smash Anderson to pull, and he pulls a roller that goes the whole way. A lot of times teams use that to get that disc on the sideline, but that actually is one of the better positions pulls all day. Here's Mendelovitz again. Feels like most of his touches have been deep shots, and not very few of them connected. Anderson almost getting to that one, and Morgan Caldwell asking for the cutter to come back to him, but it's too low. Megan Maxfield can't get a hand on it.
So we do have a gender mismatch downfield, but not, I don't know if Shame can find that.
Kira Lingard on the far side. And they're gonna take a shot, and that one works out. Spencer Tibbs, a captain in the end zone, and it felt like there's been more breaks than holds this game, but maybe a call. No goal signal yet from the observer. And Sam Shapiro telling you that seems like there is no call, so the goal will stand. And again, Spencer Tibbs capping that one off on the D-line.
Yeah, and sometimes that is just the way a game rolls, that teams, their defenses will get fired up and just break and break and break. Different style and energy of game, and again, typically, this really high energy game. We've seen a lot of very high level executing offenses up to this point. So, you know, from a commentator perspective, not a bad thing at all to see this different style of game.
Right. Yeah, this has been a blast. And not a lot of consistency in terms of offenses, but maybe teams can figure it out. Obviously, Shame's O-line still working a few pieces. Get a look at Lindsay Doyle on this point, someone we spoke to before this tournament. Sean Hamm out there as well. Delovitz coming back out. That's Mark Mendelovitz, I should say. Jake Hadzeef, oldest player. We'll put Megan Maxfield back on.
You know, and with all of this explosiveness on both offensive and defensive lines, really interesting to just start speculating as we get further in towards the end of this game. What players might they consider crossing over if the game is still really tight, if they're looking to, you know, put a high-pressured line out there? Again, enormous amount of athleticism for both teams.
Yeah, Melissa Dunn out there too for Lawless. This might be kind of their universe O-line. People, 7 they put out when they know they absolutely need to hold, and right now they're down 2 and they do need one.
Yeah, deep, high pull. Lawless still just back at the front of their end zone.
Yeah, now they'll get a little bit outside of it. First touch of the point for Sean Hamm. And there is Dunn. She falls down, but makes a catch no problem, and then throwing from her butt. Mendelovitz up to Caldwell, and he'll want Maxfield. Why wouldn't you? And she's in the end zone for her 3rd. Megan Maxfield doing everything for Lawless right now. 3 of their 4 goals have come to her.
Yeah, and this is one of the beauties of the mixed division. When you get to this elite level, what I have heard across the board from so many teams is they win through their women. You make space, you get out of their way, you send them the disc, and you let them play.
Yeah.
Coming from the Twin Cities area where I am, Dragon Thrust, one of the teams known for that. Again, phenomenal athletic women, where the guys say it's just such a joy to again, set their women up to succeed.
Yeah, of course, so many players on Dragon Thrust. Unbelievable. Max Croft, Sarah Bay.
Kat Ritzman having a phenomenal season.
Yeah.
Yeah, so loving seeing this level of athleticism from this
Erica
Arizona
Bacon,
team.
sorry, I messed that name up. I believe Erica Bacon moving on to the Pittsburgh scene. I think she's playing with Parcha this year. I'm not sure.
Yeah, did recently move both she and Strings.
Yeah, good confirmation on that for you guys later, hopefully. But point is, the one thing that we saw a lot yesterday is we felt like that every time that Lawless or Mixtape, for that matter, took a deep shot, particularly to their ladies, they threw kind of into a crowd. So far, Lawless doing a really good job making space, and so that they're
Isolation,
really
yeah.
fast female cutters can just pull away and have all the spacing in the end zone to complete goals.
Yeah, so see if Shane can do maybe a little bit better job of that.
High pull from Bernard will drift out of bounds. Westbrook gonna collect this one and walk it up to the brick mark. Sounds like he'll take the matchup of Carl Morgenstern. Carl, a really, really good handler defender, so this feels like his sweet spot to see him there. Westbrook, a clockwork play to get things started, and almost a poachy set. It is a poachy set, sort of, from Lawless. It looks like they're bracketing with their women on the sideline. I've heard some teams run something called queens. We'll get back to that in a second. This throw in front of Cynthia Thomas. She can't get a read on it. And it's Abby Dietrich in the end zone. Another goal for number 48.
And we talked about isolating the rhythm, making space, not throwing into the crowd. There you go.
Now, what I think I saw there, and I'm not completely sure, I could be overanalyzing, but again, that's what they pay us to do. Another look at this deep shot from John Snyder. He's been on both sides of the score sheet as well. But it felt like Lawless was almost running sort of a defense where they have a bracket on the open side with 2 of the women, and they put the third one on the break side to sort of gum stuff up. I felt like we saw Jamie Erickson in this open side lane, taking away unders, and then the rest of their men play match. It's like a very interesting set. I remember our YCC team ran a couple times, and when you feel like you're playing against a team that isn't utilizing their women, it could be really effective. Of course, not really the case for Shane. Maybe something that Lawless is just trying out. But
a very narrow window. That was a very, very small window, a laser throw, and quite frankly, a fairly late throw. So executed, but maybe a little bit more high risk. So potentially something we'll see again from Lawless.
Yeah, definitely. Pull coming from Ryan Pesh. This one hanging and then caught. Hadzieff back there. And again, he'll center up to Zach Petty. Hadzieff taking a shot. This one hanging, a couple back there. It went kind of through everybody. Confusing. Shelby Petty not able to get on the other side of that, and now she's calling a foul against Ashley Daly Morgan, another one of the captains for the Shame team.
See if they go to the observer with this. The observer is definitely looking to confer, maybe looking for perspective. It did look like the defender reached out to establish.
Okay. The observer ruling is that that is a foul. So the disc is going to be here. It's going to be a ground check, 20 seconds to walk to the line and check it in.
So I can put it right here and then check, or do I need to take it?
It is your disc. You have possession. It's a ground check from you. 20 seconds to walk to the line and check online.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sam Shapiro there stepping in. Something we've had a number of streams this weekend. Now, Shelby Petty walking this up to the goal line. He's telling her, of course, she has to keep this disc. But Sean Ham wants it really bad. Try to get it there. She'll throw a blade across the field, and that's picked off and taken away.
Snushka with the snatch and the immediate turn, but is there a call?
Seems like there may or may not be. I'm going to go with that there is. Any idea what the call might be, Kelsey?
I mean, it looked like he's saying there was some contact, maybe while the disc was still in his hand. So potentially not contact on his physical body, but the disc, which is considered an extension of him while it is still in his hand.
He's calling a foul against Morgan or Marsh Crawford.
Definitely a pretty egregious turn otherwise. Interesting.
There was contact elsewhere, but I felt like the throw didn't have the kind of contact that I would think would constitute a foul.
There's a handshake there, so it does look like.
Yeah, that disc not thrown back to Snutska. It's going to stay where it is. So Hadzieff, chance to tap this in.
Unfortunate Shame not able to capitalize there. That's some good pressure from their defense on this handle reset.
And just a miscommunication between Dunn and Petty. And now Snutska a chance to attack quickly.
It might have been his finger there on the second D.
That's Spencer Tibbs. And it looks like Shame going to take a timeout. Shame now, chance to put this game within a 1.5 with a break. And while Lawless has played well, Shame just really feels like they have a different level of talent that maybe Lawless doesn't.
Gauntlet thrown.
Am I wrong? I mean, do you disagree at all, or? At least
Deep
I should say,
lots of thoughts.
Shame has more talent that's played together for longer. Is that a quantifiably true statement?
I would argue that Shame 100% has more chemistry, hands down. Quite frankly, I know some of their roster very well. I don't know the depth of their roster very well. And this is the very first time I have seen them play this year versus the second time I've seen Lawless. Really impressed with the talent that I've seen on Lawless, but again, it's been flashes from, 5, 6, 7 players. But if you think that you are the best team and you're able to play accordingly, you know, prove me wrong. Prove me you're the best team out there. But not something that I would say definitively from right now, from where I stand.
Shane back out on offense. Seems like they're going to initiate from a vertical stack. Well, I can't quite tell if there's an isolation. Feels like, see if they initiate with any kind of funky dead disc play. Immediately flood Snuska out of the handler set, and they want to go to him. Why wouldn't you? Snuska and Sean Ham. This will be fun. And it's broken up by Ham, and
I almost guarantee you he's going to call contact on that. He pulled up.
Snuska did?
Mm-hmm.
And Crawford getting a hand on that disc as well. And honestly, Sean Ham or not, it felt like Marshall Crawford had that the whole way.
So I don't believe you've seen Snuska play before. He has a really, really intense vertical. And what I think he's saying is that there was contact that prohibited him from getting up, because I do think the disc was in a very playable space for him.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't disagree. It's just a lot of people going into this, get a look at it right here. And yeah, I think you're right. If you just look at Sean Ham's eyes, obviously he gets a block, but Sean Ham looks at Snuska before he makes his play on this disc. Obviously you want to know where your defender is, but you can tell it changes the way that he moves. He moves into Snuska first and then goes back and finds the Frisbee.
And so maybe it's a hip check, but again, initiating that there's, oh.
Yeah, Wally Quan there agreeing that it is foul. So we've seen it go both ways so far.
And the conversation we've been having, how much body contact is too much contact? How much is just good physical defense? And how much is you are really interfering with the player's ability to make any kind of play?
Right, and of course in this sport, lucky enough, the players get to make that decision for themselves, and seems like so far they're deciding the acceptable amount of contact is not very much. Students get now on the goal line, a few right in front of him, just a mess of players in the end zone. And Ashley Daly Morgan, another captain on this team, she'll score and get Shane back on the board. They're up 7-4.
And again, you'll see Shane choosing to pull its men out of the end zone and just giving the women space to find isolation.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like they were almost crowding themselves more. I mean, it was just kind of a cluster. Another look at this huck. This is clearly an initiation. They called this from the jump. I question the decision, though, to initiate with a huck play from a handler position. I feel like you're gonna get a poach or two every time you send someone deep from the handler spot. I mean, sometimes it works in the flow of play, right? I mean, Tanner Johnson, people say he does this a lot, right? Where you dump the disc off and then you take off up the same third, and the person you just threw it to, if they're a good thrower, then get it back to you. But I think when you do it from a dead disc, it's very obvious. Everyone that's standing in the back of the field can see that that's what you're trying to do, and it allows those second and third poaching defenders to pick up what's going on.
Lawless with ample time to have that second help defender come out was not necessarily a factor there, but I agree, the defense very able to anticipate. That being said, maybe that's part of the trust and confidence of just believing that Snuska is the best athlete out there, period. So throw to him.
Yeah, why not? Potentially a half deciding line here for Shane. Kevin Herrera to pull. This one drifting right and looks like too far right.
Yeah, will be out of bounds.
Again, Mendelovitz to get things started for the team from Phoenix. Talked a bit about how this Lawless team came together yesterday on the stream game, round one, but check back through it. I mean, Lawless making the decision, I guess more so the Arizona scene making the decision that they're going to kind of stack their teams and have sort of a one big tryout process for all the club players, trying to create a pipeline for players coming out of college in the Arizona area. So now there's three mixed teams from Phoenix that are all tiered, Lawless the first of which, followed by Ghost Town and then Calamity. High throw caught by Lipnot.
Good snag.
Yeah, one of the founders and owners of the Arizona Sidewinders in the WUL.
Erickson still poached.
Really is no height matchup for Erickson. Wonder if they'll see someone go that way. Here's Lipnot again. And that one behind Mendelovitz, but adjusting midair against Herrera. Safe possession there on the far side.
Yeah, Lawless not looking like they're getting what they wanted.
Yeah, and definitely not there, but sounds like Zach Petty calling a foul.
So I don't disagree that there was contact.
And
I
Casey
don't know
Anderson.
that he could make a play. I think he had already committed himself and missed.
Yeah, frustration from the Shame sideline. This is sort of what we talked about, what one of our sideline reporters, Isabel Cruz, was telling us, is that it just seems like teams are frustrated with some of the calls that Lawless is making. And we've seen a couple fouls each way. It seems like the observers have been pretty fair. But now Mon 40 agreeing this one not a foul. And so, of course, everyone forgets the ground check. And then back into play, Shame will have a chance. Take this to half. You score 4-8. 8-4, I should say. Herrera gets started. And Joe Anderson, his first reset option. Anderson eyeing downfield, but perhaps reconsidering.
A little messy downfield for Shame right now.
One going. It's been all handler movement so far, just those two.
Yeah, Shame does have a timeout left if they need it.
Herrera ushering players out of the backfield. Feels like a shot's coming in some ways, but been wrong before. I think Joe Anderson thought he was out of bounds and maybe bringing himself back in to start. Maybe a travel was called.
And then as I was coming back, he started stalling. Can he do that?
Yes.
Oh, then I fucked up. I'm sorry.
These things happen.
Sorry about that.
And on 4.
Right, and up one. Ho, ho.
Taking ownership, just with a little explicative.
Yeah. Our mistake, but luckily no FCC regulations for all two world streams.
Another stoppage. No shortage of calls made here.
Yeah, this becomes sort of a grinder half. That's Liz Murphy with the disc. Matched up with Jordan Harm. Murphy immediately, she'll find Casey Anderson. And now KT Herrera again.
Looking like he wanted the hammer but didn't go.
Shame, really taking their time here. More than we've seen them do the rest of this game. And it'll work out for them. Toe in the end zone.
Have really good patience there from Shame.
33, that's Alex Daniels on the goal line. So Shame take half 8-4, and what's been sort of a blistering first half. Only 12 points played total. It's been a fun one though. Gonna look back at this foul call. Kind of see what Zach Petty was saying. Clearly some shoulder contact disrupting him, but I think the observer's saying, like what you had said, this Frisbee already beyond him before he made that call, and so they ruled not a foul. It seems like Shame players forgetting that it was halftime almost, and now
they're ready to play more.
Yeah, they want it fast. They'll play through half. I doubt it. 10-minute half of the semifinals. So we will look at some of your first half highlights in just a second. But before that, or after that, a little bit, we might have a halftime interview. Multi-world sideline reporter for the mixed and women's division, Isabel Cruz, speaking with a member of Shame leadership. We'll have that for you in just a little bit. Stick around. We'll be right back. This has been Multi-World's live stream of the Pro Championships. Luke Serio, Kelsey Percy. See you in a second.
What would it look like if a competitive sport didn't mean a choice? Between beauty and brutality, style and steel. Between calling yourself out and clawing to stay in. What if there was a game that found balance? Between spirit and sport, agony and elation. Like a disc dancing on air,
We now have evolved into a team sport of a game called Ultimate.
It stands by itself in that it is like no other game.
Between perfect passes and devastating drops. Like the balance we so desperately needed, we had no choice but to create it ourselves. Long live grit and grace. Long live Ultimate.
It's live coverage from the Pro Championships. Lucas Serio here at halftime as we're just about to send it over to one of our reporters, Isabel Cruz, here with Spencer Tibbs, one of the Shame captains. Of course, Shame up 8-4 right now. Isabel is going to give you a little bit of an interview.
Hi, this is Isabel Cruz reporting for Ultiworld this weekend here in beautiful Boulder, Colorado. I'm here with captain of Shame, Spencer Tibbs, coming off of a really strong first half. So let's just get started with the half. Started off a little bit rough with a break on y'all. How do you think the team sort of rallied to get you all to the 8-4 place you are now?
Well, it really helps to have just a ton of veterans on our team, first off. People that have been in that situation and know how to handle themselves. And yeah, they broke us 1 point. We stayed calm, cool, and collective, and we've been playing D ever since, really. We had a really good game. Our D is stepping it up. Our O is starting to settle in, and we're just playing our game at this point.
Yeah, that's a really great point. So going into the second half, are there any plans for continuing or changing anything going into trying to finish out the semifinal?
I think Shame is known for its depth, right? From A to Z, we are good players, and we have good players on our team. And I think we're just going to keep giving it to them. We're going to keep pressing them, playing hard on D, and hopefully just finish out with only our D line, give our O line a rest. So that's our strategy.
Thanks for that information. It'll be interesting to watch the second half. I do want to close out our time here together today with something I know is very first of mind for you all on Shame, the passing of your amazing former teammate, Kevin Sass Coulter. Can you tell me a little bit about how you all are dedicating the season to him and what you're doing?
I mean, yeah, you can't really put into words what happened, right? It's just tragedy, right? What we're doing and what we've been working on is the energy. He brought so much energy to the team, into the field, and he was rushing the field. He was cheering everyone on, and that's what we are bringing this year to Shame. And we've been rushing the field. We're cheering each other on. We're high-fiving more. All Sass would really want to see us do, and I know he's proud of us for doing that, and we wish him, we wish he was here, but we're doing it for him this year. So.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me, and it will be really interesting to see how you all fare in the second half against, I know, a bit of a rival team.
Thank you so much, Fizzy. I appreciate it.
All right, we will queue up our interview.
Good to hear that kind of stuff on our stream. Really nice to have a chance to check in with players at an event like this, and thanks to Isabel Cruz, one of our sideline reporters. She's been all around this weekend. If you're here at the Pro Championships, you may have seen her bopping around. She's been at some other events in Colorado as well. But we'll be back in just a little bit with the rest of this mixed semifinal. Shame and Lawless. Shame up 8-4, doubling up Lawless at halftime. We'll be right back in just a bit.
You know a thing or two about some good-looking dogs.
Yes.
Right? You were at a dog show yesterday.
Yes.
And a dog show.
Yes. I have been showing dogs for about 16 years now. Oh my gosh. There was just a Callahan scored by Love Tractor.
Shame showing Love Tractor a free chance at a goal. Of the Scuba. Walter just gets it past. And a layout block by Berglund. Unmarked fade, tries to float it in. Throw to space for Richmond, and the speedster turns on the Jets. Lines up a hammer. And cross field for the score. Heather Watt towards the end zone, and a flying catch by Zach Nager. No surprise to see them look deep early, trying to test Gregerson.
Oh my goodness.
Doyle picking up the acoustic, showing off the power.
Now Shame looking to come back the other way.
Fleming finds a target downfield and puts up deep for a big grab. And the Stuber and Weiss.
Early big up from Kevin Coulter. Going up and making the grab, Nick Snuska. Going another big grab in the end zone.
Welcome back to Ultiworld's live coverage for the last half of mixed division coverage here at the Pro Championships, Boulder, Colorado. We get what's been a really fun mixed semifinal so far. Fort Collins Shame, Arizona Lawless, Lucas Serio alongside Kelsey Percy as we walk you through the last half of this game. Kelsey, what's it been like so far?
Whew, man, a lot of fire and energy, so many hucks. But really, I think the efficiency, the ability to play to strengths in women. I think seeing a better overall effort from Shame. Again, a lot more looseness. But Lawless still, I think, has the capacity to have an answer, but in a pretty deep hole at the moment.
Pull from Ryan Pesh. Jake Hadzieff back there to receive, and again, he'll send up to Zach Petty. I feel like the offense has done so much better for Lawless when they start with Petty instead of Mendelovitz. He might be a late addition. First touch of the game, I think, for Lindsay Doyle. Maybe first or second. They had her back handling against sort of a Shame zone at one point. Another person that's a big leader for this team. Two throwers back there. Marshall Crawford can't find what he wants. He'll have to high stall punt, and whatever Shame's doing on D, it's working. Now a chance to go up by as many as 5, their biggest lead so far.
Yeah, I think good awareness by them to even get the throw off. Otherwise, potentially Shame starting in much better field position.
Now, we've seen a number of stalls this weekend all across the divisions.
Pesh busting downfield. Will he get a look?
Yeah. Anderson doesn't want to throw it, and Tibbs didn't throw it either, and now this one coming under almost a collision between two players. Here, Lingard and Pesh.
Potentially a very dangerous space.
Yeah, coming into that space, but no harm, no foul. Or so I've been told. This one floating. Mendelovitz got a hand to it, but it wasn't enough to turn it over. And now Anderson back the other way. And showboating his way into the end zone. Why wouldn't you? Shame up 9-5, and they're taking 9-4. They're taking control here in the second half.
Yeah, and what a response. After Lawless broke to open the first half, Shame breaking to open the second.
This has been great, and it's such fun teams to watch. Joe Anderson, such a character. And like I said, someone that if you want to hear more from, become an Ultiworld subscriber. Check out his tape delay game. Gives a little heart to the camera. This has been an absolute blast. Look at this. This is a great shot, too. The only other player I've ever seen that quite does that, I think Khalif will do it sometimes. And I've seen Antoine Davis do it as well.
Yep, I've seen both of them do it. Spot on.
Yeah.
Though
Love
maybe
that.
not with as much style.
That was something else. No lack of style at all.
Yeah, so I think the hammer from Pesh there definitely saving the play.
Yep.
And in a high enough space that the defender just couldn't quite close on it.
I was really surprised that Mendelovitz didn't get a block there. Going up with 2 hands, and it feels like he got a good portion of the plastic, but it just wasn't enough to force the disc out of the hands of the Shame receiver.
If he goes up with 1, do you think he reaches better?
I'm talking about the receiver went up with 2 and felt like he got both. It seemed like Mendelovitz got a good bit of the bottom of it, but it just wasn't enough to force it out of his hands.
Ah, fair enough. Okay, heard.
Understood. So some new faces. Nathan Bridges crossing over to help anchor the O-line. Petty's still out there, but this time not starting in the backfield. They want him downfield. Sean Hamm out there as well, as is Erickson, Dunn, and Harm. They're going to take a shot, looking for Dunn. Just put the burners on. There's 2 back there. That one hanging long enough and caught.
The layout
Dunn landed all out in the end zone, so Shame finally get their hold. Back within 4.
Oh, just full steam ahead.
Yeah, Melissa Dunn, the former San Diego Growlers practice player. She looks a little shaken up by that bid, but this is sick.
Just barely holding on. Fingertips there. She went for the clap catch.
Yeah,
but
lockstep with Liz Murphy, but just look at her pull away and bend towards that disc and then went clap. And the knee hits first. That always can really hurt. But either way, survived the ground contact and get another look at Melissa Dunn.
Yeah, and that was huge for Lawless.
Yeah, definitely a member of the Universe O-line.
So curious to hear your take on this. Someone who really hasn't been a factor that I thought played a pretty significant role in the game versus Mixtape is Erickson. We really, after that first D, haven't seen a lot of her.
Yeah, I think it's just tough right often as a cutter to impact the game if you're not getting service. And I think that Shame is probably pretty keyed into her as someone that they want to take away. And maybe she's struggling to find separation on their matchups. And maybe some teams, maybe smartly, Arizona Lawless using her to pull a defender away from the deep space. Using
Create
maybe
some
as a
space.
decoy, right, and let some of their other ladies get open deep. As we've seen, really almost all of their deep shooting success for Lawless has come through their women.
And as a coach, that's definitely a message that I would take to a player who's used to impacting more if they're pulling, maybe double coverage, is look at what you're creating.
There's Westbrook in the backfield, Bart Watson. This one up to Snutska. Seen him shoot a couple times, seen him go deep a couple times. But all 4 sides so far for Shame as they'll pump this one into the end zone. Abby Dietrich again. She's been all over the stat sheet for Shame as well. And they double up Lawless again, 10-5.
Yeah, she is a magnet for the disc in the end zone. But Shame again showing a little bit more reserve and patience, choosing to work it under instead of taking the shot.
I think too, this is all cram hole, right? There's just no reason to swing the disc at all, and so they didn't. And Lawless unable to force them enough to get that disc off the sideline and make them look at something else. They just, everything they wanted, the cut timing was there, the service was there, the throws were there, and then at the end, the goal was there on the 4 side. Feels like the wind has calmed down quite a bit too. You'll be able to see some of the tents have pretty much stopped rippling.
So wondering if the heat would all be a factor. We're enjoying the shade of our tent at the moment.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd never really been at altitude much, and you said this, it's because there's not a lot of humidity. It's like you come under the tent and like I stick my hand back out into the sun, there's just a visible change in temperature. It's like the air is very thin, it's not heavy at all. And
so the difference of shade to not shade, but also the sun itself is stronger. The closer you get higher altitude, there is literally less atmosphere between you and the sun. You are so much more likely to get a sunburn.
Get a science lesson here. This is good.
Thank my mama, the science teacher, for that one. And Boy Scout trips.
It makes sense, right? Talk about thinner atmosphere, harder to breathe, less particles between you and the sun.
Well, and you've talked about hometown team performance. This is Shame.
Right. Yeah, Shame, of course, team from Colorado. This time, Doyle going, and Delovitz thought about it, but maybe a poach not allowing that throw to go. Lindsay Doyle, a former pole vaulter, went to University of Wisconsin lacrosse. She played Frisbee intramurally, but really didn't start playing seriously until after she left school. Good to see Melissa Dunn back out there after she was shaken up from her bid earlier. And Marsha Crawford, Bill for Niven Bridges, Dunn going, but there's just no one was in a position to throw it to her, and it ends up a turnover. So
interesting that we don't see Maxfield out here on this point.
Shame a chance to go up by 6 with this throw. And it'll work out. Almost a high release flick from Pesh finds Ashley Daly Morgan in the end zone.
Effortless.
Shame really poured it on in the second half, up 15-11. Sorry, up 11-5. Numbers.
Yeah, looks like the Lawless players were walking out to their line, but I believe there will be a timeout called.
Yeah, Lawless coach starting to bring this into the middle of the field, collapsing. Harrison Schwarzer, the head coach for Lawless. We didn't see him on the sidelines yesterday, but hopefully bringing a presence to them today.
Lawless not showing just the same self-possession or really same confidence. And maybe from the previous loss that they've already had against Shame. And again, maybe responding. I would argue that Mixtape has a similar, somewhat loose style, but Lawless definitely responding better to the play from Mixtape than they are right now in this game against Shame.
So the earlier game between Shame and Lawless, final score, Shame beat Lawless by 2, 14-12. Lawless took down Public Enemy, which I think a lot of people might be surprised with that result. The round before that, earlier this morning, Shame handling Love Tractor. So both of these teams' third game, our third game as well. And then Public Enemy beating Shame. So just all sorts of parity and a bit of a cluster in the mixed division, leading to two teams, Shame and Mixtape, finishing 4-1. Mixtape will play BFG on the stream field in the other semi. And Lawless and Shame, of course, the game on your screen right now.
Well, and we talked about, or rather you mentioned earlier, Shame really feels like they are the better team, and the score reflecting that at this point in time, but also dropping a game yesterday on Universe Point to Public Enemy. And if I remember correctly, a very contested, very physical game, and maybe again that physicality affecting the looseness that Shame likes to play with.
Yeah, and LTV reporter Isabel Cruz telling me, Shame was almost excited to lose, right? They've played a number of tournaments this summer, and obviously with taking the time off, they haven't really lost meaningful Ultimate games in a long time. And it's a nice reset challenge for a team to then change their strategy, and it gives them a chance to have something to work to. Right, exactly, which I think we're seeing that here.
Yeah, that's a very mature response to that.
Yeah, also debatably a response from a team that doesn't care too much or hang their hat too much on results. So final confirmation on your semifinals, Brute and Schwa, Phoenix and Molly Brown. So one of those two matchups will come to you on our feed. The other one come on the USIU field as well. Hadziev back to field, and again, it's Petty. This time Erickson going. Oh, and Petty thought about it for a second. We all kind of wish it went.
But I do think, exactly as you were saying, using Erickson to flush that space.
Right, it freed up Dunn initially, but that throw didn't connect on the break, and now, again, it's Shame with a chance to really close this game out.
Pesh barely in there.
Shame taking their time, and a call. Observers waving for it.
Yeah, a bit of a cluster there at the front of the end zone.
Always seems to be. I wonder too if there's a time and place. Do you think observers ever get whistles? Do you think there's ever like something they can use to bring play to a halt faster?
Good question. Don't know that I want to give them whistles.
I think ultimately people would have an issue with it. So there is Snutska in the end zone, another break. And again,
float like a butterfly.
Shame more than doubling up Lawless, up 12-5. This game has really become a one-sided affair.
Yeah, Shame just really in cruise control right now. Again, when they are at their best, it looks effortless. It looks like they are not trying, just looking so calm and loose.
Yeah. Really not much we can even say about this. It's just they have, like we talked about, a tremendous amount of chemistry. A team that plays loose, likes to have a good time, and so far is really taking control of Lawless, and you can kind of tell it's starting to get to the players in the Arizona roster.
Yeah. Also interesting, allowing Shame to really dive deep into their roster. We're seeing a couple different players take the field right now. So an ability to just get reps across the depth of the Shame roster right now. You know, and they've got, I don't know, I'd say maybe 16, 17 players on the sidelines with the 7 on the field. So a lot of depth for them today to play with.
Right. And you said to me as well, some of these Shame players wanted the game to end early because of childcare reasons, so have a lot of empathy for that. Obviously a massive commitment to both be a parent and play Ultimate, as you're going to find out not too long from now.
Yeah, a couple months. Well, and maybe not end early, but definitely wanted to be, some of the semis have been staggered, and really hoping that they would get the early game. So I think the second mixed game potentially taking place over on the ESPN field.
The game on the ESPN field right now, Sakai.
Elevating, but not there. No, and that was Cynthia Thomas.
And a layout from Shame, and this disc into the end zone. It's been all Shame so far the second half. Dealey Morgan in the end zone again. And the team in red really pulling away here, up 13-5.
Yeah, so what we saw there was Cynthia Thomas just really getting up, but the disc, I think, being pushed by the wind. Yeah, we'll get another look at it here. Just so high, she gets up, but then 2 Shame players there.
Murphy, yeah, and kind of a lazy throw from Morgenstern. Didn't really set his feet, and anytime you throw into the wind, there's always a chance of that. And then Shame layout and a dish to the end zone. Dealey Morgan, someone that's just gotten a lot of scores for this team. Speaking of the ESPN field, of course, you saw on our stream Truck Stop taking down Rhino 14-12 in that semi. The other semi ongoing right now, Sakai and Machine. Sakai up 12-10. That game starting at 12:30, so probably nearing its conclusion. The game is over. Just got confirmation, and Sakai took care of business 12-10. So your men's final tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning. Truck Stop taking on Sakai. One team I think a lot of people thought would be in that game. One team people had absolutely no idea about. But if you're a DC fan, excited to see Sakai on the stream tomorrow.
Yeah, 12-10, really interesting score. So Sakai and Machine teams that we saw in the finals of the US Open, very high scoring, both very potent, capable offenses. So I think that speaks to the effectiveness of their defense that they didn't make it to 15. Probably a very contested game.
And those teams on a crash course having to meet in semis, and probably the team that most people would have picked to end up in the finals. Connor Morgenstern back out there on offense, as is Thomas, as is Sean Hamm, and this time things looking a little better for Lawless. They'll break the half-field threshold.
Yeah, moving the disc well so far.
Yeah, Lipnot swinging to Bernard, another D-line guy crossing over as Morgenstern slicing through yards, coming back, maybe not gaining much, but at the very least resetting the stall count. And this throw, his throw with Thomas connects this time.
Yeah, Thomas wide open on several of these cuts, just not quite connecting. Don't know if that's timing or angle.
Push pass from Cole, find Morgenstern up line. And all the way around Chris Bernard.
I think Lawless here almost wanting to be more conservative with the disc.
Yeah, Morgenstern sneaking through and really running everything there for Arizona. They score, but very little celebration from the team in white. I mean, seems like they've almost accepted their fate in some ways. Shame up 13-6.
Yeah, so I do think this is a good test of mental toughness for Lawless. Definitely the most they have been down this weekend that I know of. So an opportunity for them to, you know, test their focus. There are going to be other games where, you know, they're going to be low on energy and they're going to need to fight through it. And you can see that from some of their team right now. Some of their team really fighting to, you know, pick up their energy levels. But again, maybe the disadvantage sometimes of a lot of the very athletic but young players on this Lawless team of just not having the experience to fight through that.
Yeah, definitely.
So Anderson, we heard it. Don't know if you heard it reflected in our mic at all, but Anderson saying, we don't have any cheers, but let's do something awesome.
Yeah. Again, it's just everything about Shame just kind of is. Not a team that's, it seems like they're trying to do much or trying to grow beyond the way they are, but just something about them is quality is just there on the roster that allows them to win games like this. And you wonder if Lawless, their eagerness is almost working against them. I think, right, it's easy when you come into a game like this really wanting to win. You go down and you sort of let it get to you.
So KT Herrera, who we haven't seen a lot of the second half, crossing over to the O-line now for Shame.
Fielding up to Pesh. A few more throws. isolate Marilyn Reich. And a Blady throw from Herrera. This one testing Erickson again, and not its intended target, but John Snyder in the end zone. Having a laugh about it, so now Shame only one away, 14-6 for the team from Fort Collins.
Okay, so I'm going to heckle KT a little bit on this one. He had the open lady. He can totally execute better than that. His teammates are really working hard for him right now. But again, 100% can see better throws from KT.
Yeah, I think this one almost more on Josh Schneider than him. I think KT meant to throw this.
Oh, pulling the defender. Okay, I see what you mean.
Audrey Dietrich, but no luck. And Dietrich kind of leading Erickson away from that one. She probably would have been more a factor on that if Dietrich had taken a more direct line of the disc. She, of course, did not. So either way, Shame now out there with a line of players that could put this game well and truly to bed and punch their ticket to the finals on Monday tomorrow. Frustration on some of the faces of players from Lawless. They really expected more of themselves, but I think a lot of people would say that them just making it to this game is already overperforming.
Yeah, definitely big breaking seed for them. And again, we've mentioned team that has, you know, athleticism, a lot of capability, not a lot of time, you know. And when you're playing teams that have been here at this stage a dozen times before, that can be really tough. But these are valuable reps for them, and ones that I think will hold them in good stead when it comes to regionals and the national tournament.
Definitely the first iteration of many of Arizona Lawless, hopefully. Mandelovitz to get things started again on offense. And we'll initiate Marshall Crawford. And his throw just finding grass. I mean, the energy is just not there. Not like it was early in this game for this team.
Yeah, Maxfield was in the vicinity, but underthrown for her, overthrown. And Shame just on the attack.
Tibbs looking downfield, maybe trying to end it all. So he'll reset for Casey Anderson. Now Tibbs again. Break to the far side. And one more throw. This could do it. And it won't. Wow. In and out of the hands.
Yeah, and I think the contact with the ground, just shaking it loose there. Or knocking the disc loose, and the player definitely looking a little shaken.
Yeah, difficult one, and she's going to hop off the field. This is just, tough. Trying to make the pancake work on the layout. Sometimes it's like the disc is just not far enough out in front for a full bid, and you kind of have to...
Yeah, almost reaching behind herself to make that.
Right. Recipe for disaster.
Quite frankly, could have been hurt a lot worse. You can really wreck your shoulder doing that.
Right.
So Shame will start on defense right here on the end zone line, and Lawless having to fight out.
Mandelovitz will find Erickson with a high backhand. Crawford has one going.
Uncorks it.
Yeah, but Petty might have had his, never mind. That one works out in the end zone. Looked for a sec like Zach Petty was tracking too much to that front cone, like sort of forward and left, that this throw from Crawford was going to be too high over his head, but he called for it. You could hear him yell Marshall as he took off deep, and Crawford obliges. So another score for Lawless will bring them within half of the number of points that Shame has. It's 14-7, and now Shame another chance to end it.
Yeah, and Petty cutting almost from the handle space there, just cutting a full 50 or 60 yards. Plenty of time for the throw to put it up, and a beautiful read and just in bounds. So a good morale booster here at the end of this game for Lawless.
Yeah, there's no lack of highlights for them this weekend. And a team, again, I wouldn't be surprised to see out of that Southwest make their way to San Diego. Not a far trip for them at all. Excited to play in almost hometown nationals.
Yeah, so Lawless showing a little bit more life. See if they can put off the inevitable. Shane just looking to close out, getting their O-line back out there.
Yeah, time the biggest factor at this point. pull from Chris Bernard, as we've said so many times for Lawless this weekend. And again, Owen Westbrook, center, up to Pesh. Sigerud making his way down. No lack of effort from Lawless. And now Bart Watson taking a shot, looking for Aubrey Dietrich, and that'll work out despite the bid from Erickson.
Yeah.
Shame walk off their semifinal on a huck from Bart Watson, and they will head to the finals tomorrow. Fort Collins Shame, semifinal champions.
Now, let's see if we get another look at that bidding. Erickson just short of that. A beautiful throw out into space. Dietrich just pouring on the speed, able to scoop it up.
Yeah, I mean, lost count of the number of times she's found the end zone this game, but this is a really nice throw for Watson, too.
Yeah, she had to slow up almost just a little bit. Erickson, the potential for a big play there, but gosh, Dietrich, so much speed.
Yeah, and Watson's been doing that for a long time. And you just kind of see it in the body language. Shame, almost oblivious. They're kind of just, you know, just another game for them. Stakes of which don't really matter, but they'll find themselves on ESPN tomorrow. No strangers to those kinds of games. And on the other side,
due to COVID, most teams choosing not to high five or hand clap, just sort of friendly waves as they walk by.
Right, and Lawless, they'll have to retreat to the third place game if there is such a thing. Otherwise, this is the end of the weekend for them, and now they have a chance tonight to hang out, spend some time together in beautiful Boulder, Colorado before they make their way back to Arizona. But we do have more action for you on the live stream coming up later today. Phoenix, two teams we've streamed before, Molly Brown taking on Phoenix. We'll have that one for you at 3 o'clock Mountain Time, so 5 o'clock Eastern. And, I mean, honestly, there was never really a point in the second half where that game felt like it could have gone any other way.
No, Shame very much in control. I really wanted to see more fight from Lawless. I think they are very capable of it. I do think that was not a lack of physical capability, but just mental lapse. You know, inexperience, focus. But again, Shame showing so much depth and power. And just really in true form. You know, looking quite frankly like they're ready for nationals next week. Bring it to them.
Yeah. Of course, both these teams will have to play through sectionals regardless of whether or not you qualified for nationals in the past. Every team had to play through sectionals this year. It's just, it is kind of frustrating for Lawless, a team that we hyped up a lot watching come into this game, and obviously had some incredible plays like this one. Megan Maxfield, such a bright spot for the team from Arizona, her first day with the team.
She is the highlight reel for the first half.
Pretty much. Hard to argue.
Yeah, so I think Shame maybe making some really good adjustments in the second half to take her out of the equation.
That deep cut from Joe Anderson. So, like we said, not the end of our live streaming coverage by any means today.
Though last you will see of me. Here,
Kelsey Percy taking off. Kelsey, it's been really fun having you on the stream this weekend so far. It's great to have you alongside, and your insight has been extremely valuable for what we've brought. Really 7 or 6 fantastic games, but we're actually going to go to a commercial break very quickly, and then we'll come back with an interview. We'll see you in just a second. We'll see you later, actually, at 3 o'clock for semifinal action. Lucas Serio, Kelsey Percy for Ulti World Live. See you later.